This is the new Audi A3 Sportback. It really is, and it's probably the least arduous facelift I've ever seen. So, Audi's designers have given it new front and rear lights, slightly different bumpers, a new 1-litre 3-cylinder petrol engine, LED headlights and Audi's virtual cockpit digital dashboard, though these two last items aren't standard across the range. Inside and the interior is identical in this facelifted car. There's only one change, however, and that's the addition of Audi's virtual cockpit. Now, we've seen it in all other Audis up to now, and it's a model of clarity and common sense. Now, you can spec it on most models apart from the entry-level SE, and it costs £450, or you can bundle it into a big package, the technology package, and for that you get an upgraded sat-nav system, a touch-sensitive pad on the rotary dial and the Audi's phone box, which boosts the phone signal on your mobile phone. Elsewhere, and it's just the quality that really shines through. Everything you touch feels as though it's built to last. There's a real sense of luxury and also minimalism as well. The design is great. There's also quite a bit of storage. The door bins easily pass the Carbuyer big bottle test. Like I say, under here there is a cubby, and we've got the Audi phone box under there as well. There's a couple of cup holders down there, and the glove box easily passes the Carbuyer large packet of crisps test. Audi offers the A3 Sportback in 5 trim levels. Entry-level SE cars get 16-inch alloys, air conditioning, a leather steering wheel, the 7-inch retractable infotainment screen, a DAB radio, rear parking sensors and cruise control. SE Technic adds sat-nav and Audi's online connectivity services, while Sport, like our car, brings dual-zone climate control, Audi's drive mode selector and 17-inch alloys. Opt for popular S-Line and Black Edition models for LED headlights, sports suspension, 18-inch wheels, part leather seats and a subtle body kit. In the back, and there's nothing too much to write home about. There is plenty of room back here. I'm just over 5'10", and I've got a decent amount of knee room, and headroom isn't bad either. There are some nice touches back here though. There's some ventilation down here, and one thing I particularly like is this cubby here where you can store your fluorescent jacket should you break down. It's quite a nice touch, that, and it means that you can access it in the car without having to go around to the boot. Bad points? Well, there isn't a armrest here, which is a bit of a shame on this particular car. And if you do carry a third passenger, and I shall demonstrate, it is a bit difficult to haul yourself over the hump in the floor. And once you're here, it's not particularly comfortable, and you really are going to be squabbling for shoulder room. Having said that, those are minor niggles, because generally speaking, it does feel more spacious than the Mercedes A-Class, for example. Round to the boot, and at 365 litres, the Audi A3's boot is roughly the same size as you find on the BMW 1 Series, but it's the little details that surprise and delight, such as the boot floor. Lifted up, and there's space for a space-saver spare wheel and some extra storage. We've got a little net here that you can lash down to store those items that tend to fly around. We've got a 12-volt socket in there, we've got some shopping hooks either side, and one thing that I really like is a little cubby up here for the warning triangle. Let's just grab the Carbuyer large suitcase, and you can see that thanks to a fairly high boot floor, it means that loading large suitcases in is very straightforward, and there's a lot of space in there. Helps that the boot is nice and square as well. And if you want some extra storage, you can fold down the rear seats, and you've got an almost flat loading area, meaning that when you push those larger items further into the cabin, it's a piece of cake.
The A3's engine range is pretty broad. For petrol, there's the new 114 bhp 1 litre and 148 bhp 1.5, and there's also 187 bhp 2 litre petrol. Those after a diesel get 114 bhp or 148 bhp 1.6 and 181 bhp 2 litre to choose from. 4-wheel drive is available on the 2-litre petrol and diesels and the 1.5-litre petrol, and there's also an e-tron petrol-electric hybrid and spicy S3 and RS3 models.
We've got the 1 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine here, and we've seen this engine in so many VW Group cars and it never fails to impress me. But it's the A3 where it impresses me the most because the refinement of this thing is absolutely extraordinary. Now, I would assume that if you weren't told that there was a 1 litre engine under the bonnet, most people wouldn't know. It's only under harsh acceleration can you hear that typical 3-cylinder thrum, because for the most part this is a very smooth and refined engine. On the motorway there's only tyre roar and wind whistle round the door mirrors. That's the only noise that permeates the cabin because the engine is ultra hushed. Audi's fuel consumption figures make for reassuring reading. The diesels officially get between around 60 and 70 mpg, while the 1 litre turbo petrol does 62.8, and in our driving we got in the low 50s. The other petrols manage between 48 and 57 mpg. Just be sure you need the Quattro 4-wheel drive setup, as this is responsible for the lower ranges of those figures. Handling wise, well, it's absolutely fine. That's all I will say about the A3. The steering is a little bit rubbery. It's direct enough, it weights up nicely, but there isn't the feel that you'd get in a BMW 1 Series, for example. The body control is absolutely fine, and as you find on most VW Group cars, the pedals and the controls all have a nice weighting to them. It all feels very consistent. The high-speed ride is absolutely fine, for instance on the motorway, but around town it can get a little bit jarry. And I would recommend going for the 6-speed manual, especially if you go for the 1 litre, because it's a really slick gearbox. The auto takes a little bit of a time to sort of down change, so I would stick with the manual if I were you. In the way of many cars these days, the A3 starts off pretty affordably, but add in some options and things get less appealing. Our car has an on-the-road price around £22,000, but add in the LED headlights, the technology package, the adaptive cruise control and a few other bits and bobs, and you're looking between £27,000 and £29,000. Now this 1 litre Sport, with a few options on, granted, is around £27,000, and that's an awful lot of money whatever way you look at it, especially when you consider the same type of equipment and the same engine in the VW Golf is an awful lot cheaper. Audi A3 owners seem to be a relatively happy lot, as it came 35th out of 75 cars in our 2017 Driver Power Customer Satisfaction Survey. People like the way the A3 looks and drives, but found running costs to be a little on the high side, while reliability was judged to be average. Audi's 3-year 60,000-mile warranty, meanwhile, is standard for the industry, but no more than that. Now this facelift hasn't done much to enhance the A3, but nor has it done anything to detract from its appeal, because the A3 has always been an extremely good car. But one thing remains though, and that's the price of this 4-ringed badge, because let's face it, with the A3 now sporting the type of technology and engines you find in the VW Golf, you really do have to want that badge, because you're definitely going to be paying for it. If you've enjoyed this video, click here for our review of the Volkswagen Golf. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, and sign up for our newsletter for regular updates.